How did they get there? Let's show you. Yesterday,
I got no chance with that
Minnesota.
question.
No, that was an unfair question. But here comes Brady. Here we go. Oh, and his best friend's in attendance. Roger Goodell was there to watch the game. First quarter, Bucs 3rd and 3. And Dan, Brady just did not look good in the first quarter at all.
Yeah, especially on third down. He gets a little spot route. Gronk kind of pops wide open there and just oversails that run early to start that game.
Yeah, here comes another one. You're going to see Brady stepping up in the pocket. He's going to have a wide-open Chris Godwin. Dan, what happens here?
Yeah, this is great protection, and Brady's really getting to number 3 or number 4 in his progression. He starts to his right. It's not there. Pump fake. It's not there. Middle of the field's going to vacate, and he sees that linebacker. It's like, do I rip it now? Do I try to get it up over his head? That indecision, the unsettledness really showed up. But this was awesome. Great protection. Hang in the pocket. See the safety cut, and then he's got his real. This is his deep threat. Scotty Miller. This is awesome. To find that post, that ball goes 50-plus yards downfield. An absolute dime from Tom Brady. Finally got this offense going.
Scotty Miller had become the forgotten man in this offense. They go up 7-6, then a big play, Rex. Right before halftime, they're going to get a pass interference in the end zone on Gronk. Is this a good call?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, we can call this every single game, and it's never called.
They would get a field goal out of it. 17-6 is your score. Same score in the second half. And you know what? They ran the ball, Dan. This is Shady McCoy. They ran it for 107.
Yeah, Shady McCoy knows that play. A little bit of an inside zone, get that defender to sync up, and then that wrap around the outside, and then that 12 personnel play action pass ball to Mike Evans. This is awesome because it comes out on time. One hitch, it's in between that safety coming over and that corner that's drifting in underneath. A perfect throw by Tom Brady, and then finish it off. Little flash fake, Gronk high in the end zone, touchdown Tampa Bay.
Buccaneers go on to win it 26-14, and afterwards their head coach was very excited about what he saw.
When asked early this week about our identity, I think we just showed our identity. We can do any damn thing we want to do.
That's an interesting way to look at this thing. And it does beg the question, Dan Orlovsky, what game do we think he watched?
I didn't watch the same Tampa Bay game that Bruce Arians did. I thought they were the most unimpressive team that I focused on yesterday. I mean, they earned 21 points. They scored 24. You're not going to get that Hail Mary field goal that whatever, if it's a penalty or not, you're probably not going to get those 3 points traditionally. And then the Vikings kind of hurt themselves with all those missed kicks. That's 10 points right there. I mean, you could easily lost that football game to a team that was in overtime against the one-win Jags the week before. And you look the same as you did before the bye week. There wasn't a ton of, impactful pre-snap motion. There wasn't a ton of play-action pass. There wasn't a ton of 12 personnel. There was a drive in the third quarter that looked cool. Other than that, you looked very similar. So I walk away going, what did you guys do in the bye week? What did you figure out in the bye week that you're like, we got to do more of that, or we got to do less of this? I thought the Buccaneers looked very similar to what they did for the great majority of this season offensively, and they were really unimpressive to me in their win.
What'd you see, RC?
No, I think that you guys hit it dead on. I don't know what game he was watching, but this is what I do know about BA from spending some time with him in Pittsburgh is he is very much like our friend Marcus Spears. He ain't scared of that yak. And, you never know. Maybe he got back to the locker room and hit a little bit of that yak first before he gave this post-game press conference, because that's not it. That team you saw doesn't make you walk into your post-game press conference with your chest poked out, thinking that arrogantly confident that you played a great game or that you could do whatever the hell you want. This isn't a team that moved the ball up and down the football field against the Minnesota Vikings. This isn't a team that blew the Minnesota Vikings out without them losing 10 points because Dan Bailey can't kick the oblong ball made of pigskin through the big H. They were struggling offensively against the Minnesota Vikings. They missed some plays early until the Scotty Miller big touchdown. They didn't run the football necessarily as efficiently as I think they need to for the play action game to be great. And this defense wasn't dominant at all. This is the team that's supposed to be ascending to be an NFC championship contender, and they are not. And that's what Bruce Arians should have been talking about more than the fact that they could do whatever the hell they want.
Now, to take the other side of it, Rex, I know there is something they did that you liked very much.
Well, I actually like the fact they did at least attempt to run the football. And they got Brady under center some. So if there's a positive that way, let's face it, you know what they do over the bye week? They probably played a lot of golf. They wanted to play a little more golf than they did. But yes, no, none of us know what the hell Bruce is talking about. Maybe it's the fact that they did run the football a little more. And yes, he knows you're going to have to be balanced. especially, going into this month and in the playoffs.
So as you watch them, and again, we're going to get to some of the other teams that we've seen. New Orleans, we've seen, and obviously New Orleans has beaten them twice this year, Green Bay and others. Is Tampa right now, that team you watched yesterday, are they a threat to make a deep playoff run?
No, I don't see that. And let's face it, Dalvin Cook, they ran the ball down their throat. Mm-hmm. And who outplayed who? If they had a kicker like, Dan Brady, look, bless his heart, he was a good kicker at once. But nobody cares who the hell you kick for, before.
Right.
You got to do a job right now, and he didn't do it. And all the momentum you lose when you don't kick field goals. Ugh.
A quick final thought. Go ahead, Danny.
I just think that there's nothing in this football team that makes me go, the expectations are Super Bowl. There's nothing in this football team that I go, that's a Super Bowl caliber performance or unit or identity. I don't see that at all with this football team.
Very quickly, I'm being told in my ear that Doug Peterson has done a radio interview this morning. I'm just going to throw this in and says he has not made a decision yet on who his quarterback is going to be next week. We have very definitively made that decision for him.
We chose Jalen.
Doug, if you're watching, the choice has already been made. You may be the last one to know. Okay, all kidding aside, let's get on to our next games here because we go through Tampa and we get to the NFC East, where here's the best team in that division, right? The Giants have been hot, and they got their quarterback. And then what the heck happened? Dan, the turnover machine was back in operation.
Yeah, this one's unfortunate for Daniel Jones because he's got his back foot in the ground. He's going to make that throw, pull the trigger, and that unblocked defender that he doesn't see hits him right at that point of contact. Fumble for the Giants.
Yeah, that's Jones' 37th turnover since the start of last season, most in the league. And then Kyler Murray. Dan, it's Dan Arnold in the back of the end zone. 13-0.
Yeah, Sam's brother. This is a great job by Kyler drifting versus that pressure, getting the ball out of his hands. But Greeny, this is the story of the game. These twists and these stunts by the Arizona defensive line that haunted that Giants offensive line. They could not protect their quarterback, and this is an enormous loss for the Giants.
Hassan Reddick, 5 sacks. Cardinals a big win. Meanwhile, the Giants would then go home and watch this. Washington and San Francisco playing in Arizona. Here's a sight you never want to see, and that is Alex Smith injured on a play. He would go down awkwardly on the leg and would not return. The good news, it does not appear to be in any way devastating or related to the injury that he had before. So we'll leave that there. In the meantime, Washington's defense, Dan, was spectacular.
Yeah, this front seven, really, Greeny, is unbelievable. You see that sack fumble, and then Chase Young, I mean, he looks like Julius Peppers right now to me. Just that athleticism, that size, the power to pick up that fumble, scoop and score for the Washington football team.
That was his first career TV. Then what does Nick Mullins do wrong here?
Don't do it. Don't do it. Once your feet tell you you're late, don't do it. Don't do that late throw to that sideline. Those are cookies for the defense. Ryan Clark knows too well when that quarterback makes that decision and you're hanging out there with the flip in the end zone. This defense is turning people over and scoring.
Washington, 2 defensive touchdowns in a game for the first time in 23 years. Then it's Dwayne Haskins playing. Candidly, there's no other way to describe it. He looked very bad yesterday. This probably should have been an interception. It's ultimately overturned. Washington holds on to win. They win on the road without an offensive touchdown for the first time since 1992. But on the basis of that win and the Giants' loss, the Washington football team is alone in first place in the NFC East. No team is favored to win the rest of their games. Washington is the only one to be favored in 2 of the 3. Our analytics right now give Washington a 68% chance to win the division. And Rex Ryan, I'll turn to you because defense is your life. And if I were to say the reason I like Washington in the division is because if you line up the 4 teams, the best player in the division is Chase Young.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the impact this young man has had on that football team, the Washington football team, is incredible. The best unit on the field in the division is their defensive line, and they are so impactful in how they're playing. I mean, look, they can get pressure on the quarterback just by rushing those 4 guys. They had depth. Anytime you got a guy that's probably a 10-sack-a-year guy, Ryan Kerrigan, as a backup, you're in pretty good shape. So to me, this is a race to 7 games. We've said it all season. Whoever gets to 7 wins the division. And right now, it certainly looks like Washington.
They have the best chance to do it. And Dan, I thought that the performance of the Giants getting Daniel Jones back, hot as they've been, that was a very disappointing day.
Yeah, I mean, Greeny, everyone's going to point to that Giants defense and be like, they weren't great. I actually thought the Giants defense played well. It just felt like the Cardinals offense was on the field for the whole game. And that's because the Giants offense could not do anything. They could not protect Daniel Jones. And then his feel in the pocket was just subpar. And that's been something that's kind of been the story of his career. And I thought that if Daniel Jones just played like good football, the Giants could win this division. They would win this division. But I don't even know if he's going to play. I mean, he looked unexplosive yesterday. He looked like that hamstring still bothered him. I have no idea who to take in this division. I don't want to take anybody in this division. Like, that's where I am. Like, there's some things that I don't like, Greeny. Like, I don't like seafood. I don't like soup. I don't like milk chocolate. I don't like cooked vegetables. So I don't want any of them. And that's what I feel like with the NFC East. I don't want to pick any team. I don't want to pick any of these teams because I have no idea who's playing quarterback for who. RC, what are you doing?
RC, okay?
How could you not like milk chocolate? He's got some issues.
Milk chocolate's disgusting.
I went to sleep, though. I went to sleep on Dan for two reasons. Everything that Dan mentioned just points to his bland taste in food. But very much like Dan's bland taste in food, so is the NFC East. There is nothing there that's tasty. There is nothing there that's spicy, but that defensive line of the Washington football team. Chase Young is everything that we thought Jadeveon Clowney would be. Chase Young is like Derrick Henry and the Predator went into a lab and they started working on both of them, and that's what came out of the lab. When the dude picked the ball up yesterday and started running with it, I promise, and I can say this. Nobody else around here can say this. He picked the football up, and I remember Sean Taylor scooping a fumble against the Philadelphia Eagles for a touchdown. I remember how little the football looked in his hand. I remember how fast he ran down the sideline, and he was in the all-white for the Washington. It was somebody else than the Washington football team, and it looked exactly like that. I got that feeling. That I was watching something that we hadn't really seen, and it was amazing to see. And if this defensive line continues to play the way that they have, if they can find ways to continue to create offense with some people being banged up, this team does win it. And like Rex says, if this is a race to see who could get the 7 games first, and I'm picking the player to get in that race, I'm going to pick Chase Young because he's probably going to beat everybody racing. And when you have a player like this, when you make a great decision like this to go get your coach, your team rallies around him, you have a quarterback that fights back from not only almost not playing again, but losing a leg, they're inspired and they're playing inspired football. And in a